What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham with Hannah Burr.
Hello.
How are you, Hannah?
A lot better than last week.
Feeling better now, huh?
Oh, it was rough.
Yeah.
Rough. We're talking two broken fevers, swollen throat,
Yeah.
loss of appetite, nausea, couldn't walk straight, muscle spasms. It was great.
Wow. Yeah.
It was great.
Sounds awesome.
And doctors don't know what it was.
Yeah, that's odd.
Oh
Well, we're
well.
glad you're better and back at it with us here, talking as much Star Wars as we can with how little there is going on out there. I mean, they're actually still pushing Andor, and Andor apparently still has some decent numbers going on still.
Mm-hmm.
A
Which is
lot of
great.
people, yeah, obviously, definitely one of the most popular things they've done. So that's really good, and we'll talk a little bit about it here on this episode. A little bit of news. I mean, not much out there, but not much content. Still coming this year. I mean, Star Wars Visions, I think, is slated for later this year, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing from obviously the movie. Mandalorian Grogu is next year, and Ahsoka is next year, and Maul is next year. So a lot of stuff happening next year. But
It sounds like it's going to be pretty boring next year.
I was about to say, yeah. But right now it's July right now. We still have half the year left.
Yes.
But as always, sticking with us is our patrons. So thank you to our patrons for the support. We're still cranking. We're still going to be doing some content here for you all. And speaking of, I'm actually going to tonight as well. I'm going to do a video for our patrons. I did a little bit of tweaking to the tiers. Not really changing much regarding what you get, but I did. I kind of everything labeled on there, like all the videos we do. Is like, I know you understand. You know what I'm saying? It's like I call it force something. So like, there's force reactions, there's force reviews, there's force. So
Right.
I just kind of structured it more and changed the name, and kind of each tier gets a little bit more kind of content. So I'm gonna start bulk some of those out there. So anyway, I'll explain some of those to our patrons. But as always, thanks to those guys, everybody on there that supports. We did have, I will mention some comments from our last episode, which was the when we talked about the map.
Ah, yes.
Our patron Thrawn it says, as someone who has now read all of the High Republic books, I can say I don't think they relied on Acolyte for awareness. Apart from Vernestra character, there's no connections or mentions from anything from novels. Also, I think technically Acolyte is in the High Republic. I don't think technically Acolyte is in the High Republic era. I think if anything, it was the other way around, and they were hoping putting Vanessa Rowe in Acolyte, it would get fans from the novels to watch Acolyte. Even so, the High Republic is a fantastic series of novels, and the last book tied everything together very cleverly and nicely. I would highly recommend Lucasfilm making High Republic in live action. They have all the material with great heroes and villains, as well as the new law, and still the Star Wars feeling. So I'm pretty sure they still called the Acolyte the High Republic era, even though it was like 100 years later or something like that. But
Yeah.
but it's funny, I was reading. We're doing more behind the sagas on the Star Wars comics, and because it's been kind of so long since we did the last Star Wars volume, because we were about to do the next Star Wars volume, I kind of had to refresh my memory. So I was like paging through those other stories yesterday, and I forgot. I don't think I realized this the first time, but there's a mention of the High Republic and that Starlight Beacon during one of those. Because you remember the second volume that we covered is called Operation Starlight
That's right.
because they named it after the Starlight Beacon. I don't think I realized, and I looked back. I'm like, did that come out during? And I think it came out about a year before the High Republic, but that's how long I feel like they were talking about it, right? And they somehow still tied it in there, which was pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing.
Yes.
But also, good on you for reading all of the High Republic books.
I know. Thrawn's on it, man. He has read them all. That is very impressive. Thrawn, let us know, because I'm curious if what levels did you read? Just all the adult novels? Did you read all the young adult novels? Because I
Yeah.
was about to say, one of the things I was about to bring up is StarWars.com did release, right now, they released a chronological reading order on StarWars.com, and I'm telling you, it is a ton of books. Like,
Oh,
because it's every level, right? You got your adult novels, your young adult novels, your junior novels, your
even the junior ones.
oh yeah, everything. Even they got the is it called manga? The manga ones, like the
Yeah.
and you got the comics on there, which you have every level of comic, because you have the normal Marvel series, and you got the Dark Horse versions. You got the what they call, I don't know what they call it, like middle grade teens or whatever level. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, it's a long scroll of books.
Oh.
So
Oh no. Oh no.
anyway, it's pretty neat, but it even lists like the character encyclopedia at the end. There's a lightsaber collection book that's got
Are
all
you
the sabers on there.
serious?
Yeah. And this was interesting. I saw at the end. So I'm sure Thrawn, I don't know if he's done Thrawn, let us know if you've done the comics, because so Trials of the Jedi is the final novel.
Right.
But after Trials of the Jedi, which it doesn't come out until the July 30th, it's a Star Wars it's a Star Wars comic, High Republic, called The Finale.
Oh.
So that's when I think it officially ends, is this comic series. It's called The Beacon. The High Republic, the finale, which is called The Beacon.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's on there. StarWars.com, it's right there on the news section. You can see the High Republic official chronological, which means, you actually do phase 2 first.
Yeah.
Because phase 2 takes place actually about 150 years before phase 1.
Right.
But I'm curious that, that Thrawn's saying it all kind of ties together at the end. I wonder, because I was always curious why they went back 150 years. So there must be something in that past that
Yeah.
ties in.
I just wish there were more ties to the Acolyte.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, yeah, I do too. I don't know how if you maybe should have said it in the same era, same time, but
Or set some more things up for it or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe brought the witches in.
into the books.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
That would have been good to do for sure, I think.
Maybe.
Like I said, I think they kept saying like it's High Republic, but in the end it didn't feel like it was tied together that much, It was
Just with the one character. So I think Ron's right in saying that they probably put the character in the show so that people who read the novels wanted to watch the show versus people who watched the show wanted to read the novels.
Yeah. Right. So I wanted to also get to these comments on Patreon, because our other master patron, Darth S&M, he sent a message on there saying, "Hey, are you guys reading comments on here?" And I apologize. Yes, we are going to read comments on there. So he commented on our Tarkin Beyond the Saga.
Oh, okay.
And he says, I also would give this thing 3 stars. It was good. Lots of backstory that we didn't know we needed. I liked the part of the book of him growing up. Very interesting. I did, however, lose track of what was going on partway through. The bureaucracy started to get a little boring and was easily distracted from the book. That just means I won't remember much when I listen to it again. Thanks for the content. So there's Darth talking about. So everybody that hasn't or doesn't know, we have a Beyond the Saga on the Tarkin novel that came out.
Yes.
I mean, years ago. It was like the second canon novel I think released.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was one of the first.
And then S&M also commented on a Reign of the Empire Beyond the
Ah,
Saga. He says how compelling this book was. Great. Mon's interrogation and torture was brutal. I'm glad I read this before Andor season 2 started. It really made me feel for Mon. We needed that to see what she went through that led to her rebellion. The additional info we got on Saul showed us how mad he really is. And then Andor season 2 showed us part of why. Inhaling that gas. I always love stories that involve the ISB. Adding more to Bail's story also sheds more light on his decision in Andor season 2. And like Hannah, I got through this one pretty quick. A great companion to the Andor series. Can't wait for the next book.
I didn't even consider the order in which to read that versus watch Andor season 2, but I think reading it before season 2 just gives you a whole different context and a whole different point of view on that show. Maybe not a whole different point of view, but definitely a more um, in-depth point of view. You have more context there. So I didn't even think of it that way. It's a really good
Yeah.
point. They are companions.
Yes, agreed.
It's like Disney planned it that way or something.
They probably had something to do with that. Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah. So yes, patrons, please keep commenting there. I'll start going there more often to check those. And I'm definitely releasing all of our content early for you guys on there anyway. So definitely go there first and see all this stuff. So yeah, so news-wise, I was going to mention the High Republic thing. So that reading order's on there. The other bit of news is they have released some names that are going to be directing season 2 of Ahsoka.
Oh, have they now?
They have. A couple of them
What?
are familiar. Obviously, Dave Filoni is going to be directing
If he
some
wasn't, I'd
episodes.
be worried.
Correct. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Not surprised.
She didn't do Ahsoka season 1 at all, but she will be here for season 2. The other names I'm not familiar with, but one of them is Jennifer Getzinger. She did do. She's already contributed to the series, so she directed some episodes of the first season.
Okay.
And then the other name is a person named Anders Eggstrom.
Okay.
And they are new to Star Wars, but they have directed other things. Mainly, they did Disney Plus's Percy Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, and they did episodes of Apple TV's C, starring Jason Momoa.
Huh.
Which Martin is a very big fan of. He was telling me about that series. So yeah, so he's coming over and doing sorry. Yeah,
You're good.
he's coming over and doing those episodes of Ahsoka. First time.
Okay.
That right now is the only list. I don't know if that means they're doing multiples or they haven't released all the lists, but obviously there's probably going to be 8 episodes of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So more than likely it might be these guys are each doing 2. Filoni, I'm assuming he was probably going to do I bet you he does the premiere and then probably the finale, season finale. So could be wrong. Also, there was a comment by Bryce also talking about how she really wants to do a film, a Star Wars film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I definitely see that happening for
I
sure.
would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously she comes from good genes. I mean, Ron Howard's her father. I was so stoked that he was able to do a film, even though unfortunately he got kind of a hand me down with Solo because it was already directed pretty much by
yeah.
Chris Lord and or Phil Lord and Chris Miller. But so it would have been good to see like Ron kind of do his own film as well because he's such a good director.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bryce is in it. She's a huge fan.
And she does, and I've loved her directing work already so far in Star Wars.
Right. Right. Yeah, so maybe she'll do like an Ahsoka movie. Right? Maybe.
At this point, who knows what they're doing?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, there's there's rumors about the Ray movie being delayed right now. It's all rumors right now, but um, yeah, not sure how that's gonna work out. The good news is, and I don't think we mentioned this, but Mando and Grogu is coming out in May.
Hmm.
There was also Avengers Doomsday coming out in May, but they recently moved that movie to December.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think they wanted those two movies competing, which is obviously the right call.
Obviously, the right call, but I wonder why they chose to move Doomsday over Mando and Grogu.
I think because Doomsday's got a lot of production still going on.
Okay, well then there you go. Why even set the date for May anyway for Doomsday?
Yeah,
If
well,
you
I think
already
that
like,
well, remember they set that like 2 or 3 years ago because it was supposed to be Kang, but
you're
Kang,
right.
obviously Jonathan Majors got arrested and they dropped him and they changed the storyline, so it made sense that they weren't going to be ready to get it by May now, but it's definitely coming out now in December, and they're in the middle of production right now. But and Mando's been done. I think they'll have that pretty much ready to go for sure.
Yeah.
So still waiting a while till that movie comes out. Okay, so other than that, Trials of the Jedi, the High Republic came out came out last month and ended that series. In August, you have this Bad Batch book called Sanctuary coming out. You got a book called The Last Order on October 21st, and then Master of Evil, which is a Vader book, November 11th. Comics are running well right now. Legacy of Vader will be out. Just came out actually tomorrow. Or, well, you're probably listening to this on Thursday, so yesterday it came out. Star Wars #3 is next week. Dr. Aphra is the week after that. And then, like I said, the High Republic finale is on July 30th. Those are your upcoming comics. I did just buy. That's why I was kind of wanting to get through the Star Wars comics because those take place between Empire and Jedi. Because
Right.
I just bought the whole. This is the Battle of Jakku comic series, like the whole thing. This is what I want us to tackle next because this takes place right after Empire, right after Return of the Jedi. So this is going to be interesting.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm ready to deep dive into that too. So, all right, it's amazing because I don't really have much else to talk about. I was just kind of like combing some topics and some just Star Wars stuff out there, and I saw somebody say something about like I'd love to see, you know, I think they asked like what minor characters of Star Wars would you actually want to see more of? And I
Oh.
was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me think of that for a second. And I was thinking about it for a little while, and I was thinking, well, first, what's a minor character? Because I mean, if you can probably think of their name within the first like 20 or 30 Star Wars names you think of, they're probably not a minor character.
But I don't know if you can follow that rule because there's so many. Like you might name like somebody who's a huge fan of the prequels versus the sequels might list 20 different characters than you might list.
Yeah. Well,
Therefore,
yeah. Well, I'm saying probably the first 50 names you think of probably aren't minor
oh, I
characters.
see, I see, I see.
So like, I yeah, like I'm trying to think of like
Like
probably
the
a minor character would be somebody sitting around a table that you know doesn't have any lines.
or the
So
Cantina Band.
exactly. Like in episode 4, all all the Imperials that are sitting around a table. Like there's Admiral Mahdi, there's General Tag, there's Colonel Yularen, like who's head of the ISB. Like those guys are minor characters, I would
Okay.
think, right? Would you
Yep.
consider them minor characters?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious. Yeah. So like, here's an interesting one. Is Owen Lars a minor character to you? Because I think it would be. I would like to see more of like Owen Lars.
I don't
But
think I think I would count him as minor.
yeah, I think I would count him as minor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what about like? Would you be in to watch like the love story of Owen and Beru?
I would if we got Baru's true story, which is we get a glimpse of in Queen.
Oh, wait,
Wait, no, shoot, what's the name of the book?
which book you're talking about?
Oh, Padme, the third one.
Queen's
Queen's. It's not Queen's
Hope?
Shadow.
Queen's Hope?
Queen's Hope.
Yeah,
Queen's
Queen's
Hope.
Hope.
We have one chapter dedicated to everything Baru did to save the slaves and
Yeah,
her work towards
actually I
that.
forgot about that. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'd be for that if we get her story with that.
Oh, okay. Is Owen mentioned at all in that?
I think like he's briefly mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember listening to it and going, "Oh my gosh, this is Baru." Because they don't reveal who it is until the end.
Oh, interesting. I totally
But like,
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah. Or like towards the end. Like they don't reveal who it is right away, but as you listen to it, you're like, if this isn't Baru, then I'm gonna quit. Like
Yeah. Right.
so yes, if we get that story, I want that story. Because
Hmm.
actually when you said what minor characters, like as you texted me before we were recording, what minor characters you want to see more, I want to see more of the handmaidens. And only just
Ooh.
because we see them in book form. We know how insanely impressive and talented they are. We know how intricate Amidala's gowns are, dresses are, and how their outfits are like with hidden pockets and knives and weapons. Like, it's insane. We don't see any of that in the movies. You'll miss that
Yeah.
entirely if you don't read the books. So I would love to see more of all of the handmaidens.
That's a good one. That's actually a really good one.
And I'm not referring to the Hulu TV show The Handmaiden. I am referring
No.
to Padme's handmaidens. Very, very different.
Yeah, the Naboo handmaidens. Yes. Yeah, that's actually really good. And you could do that. You could do it to where it's even. I think you can even get away with that with doing like the Queen before Padme, so you don't run into any continuity issues with because like Rose Byrne and what's her name, Keira Knightley, like they were Sabe and
I have the perfect solution for you.
Oh yeah.
Do it animated.
Or animated. Yeah. Okay. I get. Okay. Yeah.
Do it
That's
animated Clone Wars style.
that's good. That's good. Animated would be great.
Because
Yep.
like Sabe goes off and like tries to free the slaves herself on Tatooine.
Yep. Yep.
Like each of them have their own different path. Like,
Yes.
come on, it's right there.
Yeah. But just seeing them in action, like you said, like how they operate, it would I think it would floor a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people are aware of what the read the books because those weren't adult novels; those were young adult novels. So I don't think a lot of people are aware that what they actually how they train and how deadly they are. I mean, they're
Yes.
deadly.
Yes, they are. So that's why like I was like, okay, see minor characters in the film. So I'm like, all right, these are rip them from the books. Let's
Yeah.
get them on the screen because
Yep.
they need way more respect than they've received.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing something of like I said, Owen and Beru, like how they met. Like I would be okay with that. I think that would be cool.
As long as you have Beru's story in there because it's pretty powerful what she was doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, I would have said, 5 years ago, I would have said Mon Mothma, but
Your wish
now
has already been granted.
now she's a major character now. So
I would see like this is so tricky because there are so many characters that I'm like, oh, they're technically minor characters, and then you're like, no, they really aren't.
right, yeah,
I would have loved like, and this is literally maybe like a anthology of different Jedi being highlighted, Jedi that are
totally,
like Shakti or Greeko, like you know them, but you don't know them. So I
yeah,
think it would be cool to see an anthology of those Jedi,
yeah,
and especially highlighting Ahmed Best. I forget
mm-hmm.
the name of his, but just seeing him when he first picks
Bellerin,
Grogu.
Keller and Beck,
Yes, him training Grogu for the first time.
yes,
Like, I think it would be cool to do an anthology of the lesser known Jedi
yes.
Masters.
Now I've always said that they should do like, and what I've always said is they should probably, and I think animated form would be good for this too. Is you would just pick a pair of Jedi and like do a season on them, and then the next season you pick another Master and Apprentice, and you
Oh,
do
like
a
Tales of
season
the
of
Jedi almost. Like,
correct, but like full season, so you kind of see
yeah.
like full arcs of characters and stuff like that.
I don't even think you need that. You could probably get away with like an episode being about an hour long and just focusing on one Jedi and do a whole anthology.
Yeah, but I think to me in a way, what's intriguing is the relationship of
No, that's true.
Master and Apprentice. Seeing more of the different versions of the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan relationships. I
Yeah,
just
you're
think that
right.
they haven't focused really. We haven't seen a full thing like that.
It would be really cool to see. I know Kanan's not a minor character, but seeing a reaction between
Totally.
him and his master.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We get a little bit of that with like Cal Kestis in the game, like that
You
was
get a
really
little bit with
cool.
that.
Yeah, I think that would be. Oh, I would be all for that for sure.
Yeah.
What was the one I had? I had another one in mind that I was thinking of, and I just lost it. I lost it.
I'm thinking too. Um, so I'm trying to think through the sequels and who I would want to know more in the sequels.
Oh, yeah. I
Um,
don't
I
think I'm
mean,
there.
I feel like I don't know. Do you count Phasma as a minor character?
I do, but I mean, there's a whole book on her.
But that's what I mean. Take the book, put it to screen. Because you can
Yeah,
make the
yeah,
same arguments for the handmaidens.
very true.
So if we're going to use the same argument we did with the handmaidens, then I would say the same for Phasma because her character is so complex.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
because if you
yeah,
don't know that, then her character's on screen. You're like, why is she wearing silver armor? What makes her so special?
yeah. Although I think that's explained in the book.
That's what I mean. It's in the book.
Oh,
It's
it's in
not
the book.
in
Yeah,
the movie.
true. Yes, that's right. Oh, so I think who I was thinking of, which I think is actually gonna probably end up being similar to this, the movie that's
Oh,
coming out. But I was thinking like Biggs, and like seeing him as a as a fighter, like joining the rebellion, and
I like that.
seeing the starfighter aspect, which is what I think we're gonna get that movie with. I mean, we're getting a Star Wars movie called Starfighter. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's going to be relatively the same thing, but I think and a lot of people have been calling for some kind of Biggs backstory thing, but
Yeah. That would be good. That would be good. Um,
but I think like Patty Jenkins, her Rogue Squadron movie. I think that would have been kind of like this is like seeing the fighter pilots, and like it's like a Top Gun in Star Wars, which would be
oh
pretty
yeah.
freaking awesome.
And what's not to love about that?
I know, right? Yeah.
Highway to the danger zone.
Yeah, and I know he's not technically a minor character, but I've always been fascinated with Jabba the Hutt. I would want more. I want more content of Jabba. I've always wanted more stuff with Jabba
Oh my gosh.
because when I found out, like, and maybe I was naive about this, but when you all you had was him in Return of the Jedi, they couldn't really make him move, so it was hard to believe that he actually did move around that much, right?
Right.
Because you never saw him move. He was there, and then he was in a different spot. It wasn't until like when the special editions came out and they put him back in Episode 4. He's like moving around, talking to Han, and I remember seeing I'm like, oh my god, this guy can like go around and do stuff. Like I'd love to see him be that boss guy, go around and flex his muscle and run the cartel. And I mean, I've always kind of been a big fan of Jabba. I thought that was I thought that the idea of making like George's ability to think of that kind of character, like Yoda being 3 meters tall, or or not even, I think, two, whatever, I don't know what it is, I can't remember, but and then Jabba being this big slug type character. It's like they can't even move around that much, but they're so powerful and they're so respected, and the Hutts are just in charge of everything. So
Oh my gosh.
even though at first he was a human, but he got replaced.
Yeah.
But
Um,
anyway,
hang on. I'm finding a comic strip. Speaking of Jabba the Hutt, and I crack up at this comic strip. For those of you who love Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and oh, really? Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
read that all the time when I was a kid.
I love Calvin and Hobbes. I will send you this strip, but it's like it's literally him coming home saying, "How's my onion costume coming, Mom?" Because he's playing an onion in a school play.
Who, Jabba?
No, Calvin.
Oh, Calvin. Okay.
I'm gonna get to the punchline, and she's like, "I'm still working on it." She puts it on him. She's like, "What do you think?" And he says, "Jabba the Hutt meets Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer." I don't know, Mom.
Oh, funny.
I'll share in the chat. I will share this
Yeah.
with you. But I think the thing is too is that, oh no, why did that not work? I gotta send you a link instead. I think the other part of Jabba is that when we first see, and this is what really confused me about Jabba, is that when we first see him in Revenge of the or Return of the Jedi, he seems so sluggish and old. But then we see
Oh,
him in Phantom Menace, and he's moving around freely in that stadium.
right.
So I'm just
Right.
kind of like to me, that's what is a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway.
the Another minor character I actually want to see is, and I'm blanking out on her name, but it's the name of the woman who was leading the clones that rebelled in Rise of Skywalker.
Jana.
Jana, yes. I would love to see the story following her and the group that decided we're done with this and watch them escape the Empire.
Well, I I don't think you're going to get that, but you are getting a book with her and Finn in that Last Order book.
Yes, I know we're going to
Yeah,
get that, but I want to see
it's
that. I
earlier
want to
one.
see what the
Yeah,
kids had to go through to become clones, like to become part of the. Well, they're not clones, but
stormtroopers. Yeah,
yeah, what it took for them to be a stormtrooper,
yeah,
and what
yeah,
made them go. You know what? We're done.
yeah.
Because then that could shine a light onto because yeah, Finn had that moment of like he lost his friend and he's like this can't be right, but that clearly wasn't the first time he encountered it.
Sure. Yeah,
So it would be cool to see
yeah,
that.
for sure. I can't really think of any sequel characters though. Really.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah,
I mean, Maz maybe, but
yeah, yeah. I'm sure she may pop up since she's been around for a long time. But
I like the idea of her character being more mystical like that. Being more of an enigma.
I still don't think, I could be wrong, and anybody out there can correct me, please. I still don't think we quite know how she got Luke's lightsaber. Luke and
That's the
Anakin.
only thing I would want to see with her is how she got Luke's
Yeah,
lightsaber.
I don't think we know that yet.
That is literally the only thing, which yeah, that's the only thing I would want to see.
Yes.
But outside of that, I'm like I kind of also just because we already know what happened with Luke and Ben and all of that, I kind of don't want to know how she got the lightsaber.
Oh, I definitely want to know.
I'm like maybe
Well, because
ignorance is
not only does
bliss.
she have it, she knows who it belonged to.
I know, but I'm just like, that just reinforces the disappointment of that moment for me personally, in my own opinion, not speaking the opinion of the company I work for. Like, it just reinforces that for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So
I
I'm just like,
think.
I don't need to know.
Well, they told us basically that she's force sensitive.
Yes.
She hasn't been a Jedi, but the fact that she, knows and can sense that, and somehow she knows that, like I said, like that saber was passed down from Anakin to Luke, and it's like, how does she know all of that?
Yeah, which it's his blue lightsaber, right?
Yeah, it's
So then,
Anakin's from.
well, okay, so yeah, how did you get a hold of that when the last time we see that saber is when it's dropped in Cloud City?
Correct. And in the books that we're reading, the last thing, at least again, I haven't finished it all, but it's like the last time we see it, like an Ugnaught picks it up from the trash in
Yeah.
Cloud City. So like, where does it go from there? Do you know that the original, I believe the original opening of episode 7, like after the crawl, when it pans down, it was supposed to pan down to Luke's hand in that lightsaber floating around in space. That was one of the first original
Oh.
talks. Yes, I
Oh.
know.
I would have loved that.
I mean, it would have changed the whole narrative of that a little bit, but
Talk about grabbing your attention right away.
correct. Yes. So, anyway, I think that's something we can maybe revisit sometime. I know I kind of sprung that on us late there to think about, but there's some really good. I mean, obviously, there's thousands of characters, so thousands and thousands of characters. So, there's a lot of minor ones. So we can, there's definitely stories there if they really wanted to do it.
We didn't even talk about Senator number 872.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, lots of senators, lots of bounty hunters. Yeah, I mean, and they're making stories of some of these minor ones like Mon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Andor was not a major character. I mean, he was a major character in one movie, but then they made it bigger. So,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, well, Hannah, thanks for joining. Thanks. Glad you're feeling better. Hope you get better still.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks as always for letting me be a part of
Of
this.
course. Thanks everybody for being with us, even though it's a little slow in the Star Wars galaxy right now. But hey, it's perfect time to catch up on some books, some
Mm.
comics. That's what I'm doing in a way. I think that we're going to be doing some more Beyond the Sagas. Me and Martin are cooking up some council sessions that we're going to be doing this week as well. So look for those in the coming weeks. And if you're interested in, of course, being a part of our Patreon team, patreon.com/Inside the Force, go check out the tiers there. All right. Thanks, Hannah. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dave. See you next week.
Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. May the Force be with you.